always be in that kind of idea that you're trying to grow, but don't push that onto yourself, because the sheer act of just practicing, you will get better. As long as you don't judge yourself, because the first thing you do is lose interest in it once you realize, that they're not to your expectations. And one of those conversations I had with one of my students this week is that she was very disappointed in her work. Consistently. She was very, very consistently disappointed. And I said, well, what does that make her, what does that make you feel like you're disappointed in your work all the time? And she goes, well, I get frustrated and I feel like I'm not growing. And I go, well, you've only been painting 2 years. Why do you feel like you're not growing? And she goes, well, I just feel like, I should do more. There should be more, like with your doodle book. It's like you look at it, you go, I should be better at this. And I go, that feeling of being frustrated as an artist? Get used to it.
That's for sure.
Get used to it. Because the issue with being an artist is that as you start getting better, you become more discerning. You start looking at things going, I could do better than that. And you start beating yourself up. And I go, 2 years ago, you came to class and you were happy to be able to mix 3 colors and get black. And now you're comparing yourself to Rembrandt and you think you should be there. And the thing is, Rembrandt was very disappointed. I mean, this is one reason why artists drink and do drugs, is to deal with that disappointment in themselves, because what they have in their head is always better than what they can produce. Thank God, because the next time they produce it, they're going to strive for that next thing. It's always that. It's always something better. Even your idea is better. And, even if you don't get it, the striving of getting it is what art is. It's the striving. Yeah. I do coaching over the phone. On Saturday mornings, my mornings are full of phone calls. So people from all over the world call me for coaching calls. And one of the very first things that I do with them is, because I don't know these people, is that we work with a mission statement. And when I did the Power to Create class, the mission statement was like the most important thing in that class. It determines who you are, where you want to go. And being an artist is very similar like being a business. So if you think about a business, if you've ever set up a business plan, almost the very first page, and if you're applying for a loan in the bank and you have all the paperwork, they'll actually ask you for a mission statement. And a lot of times those mission statements are actually artist statements. And what's great about artist statements is that they become like the quotation marks in the articles that magazines write about you. Usually mission statements are best done when they're done in third person, because it's really hard to say, well, my paintings are the best because, or I'm all about this, because it sounds like it's bragging. But if you say like, Joy Butters, let's just come up with a name. I don't want to use it. I'm just stealing your name, but I put another. So Joy Butters. Joy Butters' paintings embody the essence of the human experience translated in her passion towards light and shadow. Okay. So you write that as if you wrote it yourself. And then that becomes what you're about. The reason why it's important is because we kind of lose sight sometimes. And we lose motivation with painting. The hardest thing as artists is to try to stay motivated. And we lose the why we paint in the first place. Now, part of your mission statement could be is that you just do it because you enjoy it. But the problem with that is like having dinner for yourself. It's nice. It's nice to have dinner for yourself, but it can be very lonely. It's nice to love somebody, but it's better if somebody else is in the room. It's like it's just part of sharing, and part of becoming an artist is about sharing. A book that's never been written, is it worthy of being, if a book that's never been, nobody would read, a book that nobody would ever read, is it really worth writing? A painting that's never looked at, is it really worth doing in the first place? And a lot of artists, what they do is they go home and they shove their paintings under the bed. And I've had the misfortune of having students. I've been very fortunate. I've had students for a very, very long period of time, and they've passed away. And their entire life, they go, you know, nobody really cared about my painting. And I go, oh, sure they care. They go, no, my husband doesn't care. My kids don't care. You know, I try to give them away, and the kids are like, oh, no, Mama, it doesn't match my house. Or, oh, Mom, you know, those are old funky paintings, and now you want modern stuff, right? And then I would go to their funerals, and the church would be filled with all of this wonderful artwork. And then we'd go to a wake, and I would hear the kids arguing who gets what painting. And I'd go, no, that's my painting. No, Mom promised that to me. She gave that to me. I gave her back, but that's my painting. It didn't match my, you know, it was like, and I thought how sad it was that these students didn't really realize how much importance their work actually had when that time comes. I know when my mom passed away, I didn't even know that she did needlework. And all of a sudden, my father shows up and he says, here, this is from your mom. And I was like, huh? And then all of a sudden I saw, could you?
They're probably coming back in.
Okay. All of a sudden I got this as a gift, and I go, oh my God, I didn't even know she did that. And it was like, oh, I cherish this. I cherish this a lot. So when we are aware that the work that we produce will actually be for other generations, it's part of our mission statement. So part of it is sharing. And if we don't share our work, then we don't have a reason to paint. And so if you want to stay motivated, you have to be in that area of feeling like you're going to share something. And what is it that you're sharing? You're sharing your life, your observations. And how we do that is that we become aware of what that is by forming a mission statement. And in the Power of the Crate class, we all sit around creating a mission statement for the first couple of weeks. And the mission statement is always about what the other person's going to get, not what you're going to get. So what is it that you're going to create that the viewer is going to benefit from? Okay? So, you know, if my mission statement for the Grandview is to touch, move, and inspire millions of people, okay? That's not about what I want to do. It's not about making money. It's about creating something that touches, moves, and inspires millions of people. And then what you do is you ask yourself, millions of people, how am I going to do that? Well, I have to form something that gets out there. So I'll form a television show. See, it immediately calls you to action. So a mission statement will actually drive you to that. And when I'm doing my personal coaching, we start off with a mission statement. And it's amazing how when people start writing a mission statement, it gets really clear to the kind of work that they want to produce. It's really the foundation. And when I start off my coaching calls, Saturday morning, every half hour, I have calls coming from all over the world. And we start off, there's a couple of minutes of like, how are you? How's your wife? How's this stuff? And then I go, so what's your mission statement? And they reread their mission statement. And then I go through their work, and they usually send me their work via internet. And then I go, where in this painting is your mission statement? And it's really surprising how they start becoming their own coach. Now, I am not an art teacher. I get people started to paint, but I'm a coach. And my job is to fill in what's missing to take you to the next level. And so my thing with students is to find out, where do you want to be? And oftentimes, most students are not even aware of that. Nor are they even aware of the power that they're actually that they have at hand to share. That really is the key to becoming a great artist, is that sharing point. But what is it that you want to share? What is it that you want? And for some people, it's very vague. And for some people, it's not a big goal, you know? But when I go, what is it that you want to tell your great-grandkids when they inherit these paintings? Because, and we talked about this last night, you know, one of my students was painting. She says, well, I don't know why I'm painting. And I go, you're painting for your great-grandkids so they know who you are. And they go, oh my God. And she says, you know, that's so true. I just got a painting from my grandmother that she did. Actually, it was a drawing. And she said, I immediately knew who she was by her work. And by that work, I could tell what she liked, what she didn't like, what she observed. She said the only sad thing about it is that there was nothing behind it to tell me a story behind it. So I said, well, what are you going to do with your work now? She says, I'm going to start putting a story about this because I know that my children's children, and she just got word that her son's going to get married. So it's perfect timing. And of course, they're probably not having kids and stuff. She says, I want their kids to know who their great-grandmother was. And the reason why I paint that. Now, all of a sudden, painting just doesn't become a practice of just filling up a canvas. It actually starts becoming part of your life. And that's actually what painting is. Because if painting is anything, it's autobiographical. And when students come in with their calendar pictures and stuff, yeah, that's good. It's fun. It's all right. Pictures by other people, that's fun. But when you actually get that, you could start telling a story about your life. That becomes much more interesting. So if you're kind of losing that excitement about painting, maybe it's because you're not focusing on really what you are as an artist and the power that you have for the possibility of future generations. Because the easiest thing we can do in life is not work, not paint. I mean, you know, you look at it and go, well, why do I have to do any paintings? I've got enough paintings, I don't need any more paintings. You know, well, that's your life right now. It's cluttered with artwork. It's cluttered with this. In fact, you have clutter all over the place. But when you get that, it's the only thing you do. It's the only thing that you do that will be here forever. I guarantee you, because most people will have spouses that will inherit your jewelry, that at some point they will sell because they can buy something else with it, or melt down and use the stones for something else. You know, because I mean, my mom even did that with jewelry I made her. Your artwork will stay forever. And the thing that I have found out in all the years that I've been painting and observing life is that nobody can throw away a painting. Nobody can throw it away. It might go into a garage sale. It might get donated to the flea market. It will pop up. And paintings pop up all the time. And they have your name on them. And people will pull it up and they'll go, who's this Jane Mary? I wonder who she was. And they'll take it home. And even bad artwork, somehow, people cherish. There's a gal that has a newspaper up in Reading, and that's all she does is she goes to thrift shops buying bad paintings. And her whole house is filled with them. And in that murky mess of horrible artwork, there's beauty in it. She gets a kick out of collecting ugly throwaway paintings she buys at the thrift shop. And she decorates her whole house around them, and they're wonderful. So you never know those ugly monsters that you're working with, where they're going to end up in. But the thing is, you have to become really clear that you are communicating to people. And if you're not sure what your mission statement should be like, and I'm going to ask you to all think about working on one, because I think that's really important, because I find it in my coaching calls crucial to get them to really focus in what they want to do and where they want to go. And it's crucial in the Power to Create class, because in the Power to Create class, I'm trying to discover who you are as an artist. How are you creating? And in the mission statement, for those of you who've done the Power to Create class, you can use that mission statement. You have yours? You have yours? When's the last time you looked at your mission statement? Yeah.
Probably a year.
A year ago? And is it? It's two. Well, you'll have actually several. And the things are always like, what's really great about forming mission statements in a group like this is that somebody will come in and go, I don't know what I want my mission statement to be. And then all of a sudden Darla will tell her mission statement and you go, ah, that's cool. And then you steal it. You go, I like that part of it. But then I'm going to change this part of it. The thing is, what we want to do is we want to try to keep the motivation going in the class. And so my key is to try to find really what it is about your work, because even myself, I find that I lose sight of where I want to go as an artist. And I lose sight of that. And, you know, ultimately I get really boggled down with how am I going to make money, who am I going to be teaching, how am I going to do my workshops, how am I going to do all this stuff. And all of a sudden I start painting things, you know, that are just completely out of who I am. And having a mission statement pulls you back. So the mission statement kind of has to be something that you look at and you go, that resonates to me. And then it's not a me statement because you write it in third person. You think about it as if you're going to talk to your great-grandkids who don't know you yet. And you go, I want them to know who I was through my work. This is what's important. It might be family, it might be love, it might be, the national parks, it might be this. And then like the student last night in class, she goes, I'm going to start writing a story about every one of my paintings so that when my children's children inherit this, because she's not planning on becoming a professional artist. She's doing it for herself. But now she has a completely different focus. And she used to just copy out of calendars. And she says, I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to go out and live my art. I'm going to go out and sit someplace. And I'm going to find the beauty in that. And I'm going to share that as if they're in the room. And they're not. And I'm going to write about that so that they know who I am. I mean, imagine if you inherited your great-grandmother's painting or a sketchbook of hers. Imagine if you inherited your great-grandmother's journal or something she wrote about, an observation or a poem that she had. Even if it was poorly written, badly spelled, you would work at trying to read it. Because we have this longing of finding out who people were in our past. In fact, all of that, Ancestry.com, everybody's searching to find out who were these people who made me up. And finding documents and things, you guys are producing documents for generations to come. And just knowing that might change your whole motivation to painting. It makes it more personal. You're not just producing stuff to hang in somebody's house. You're documenting your life right now. Your husband, your trips, your children as they are right now. We love old Super 8 films because it shows how we once were. In the background, I should have Barbra Streisand singing Memories. So anyway, if you lose motivation for painting, you might want to consider writing a mission statement. You also might want to consider getting a coach. And you guys are lucky because you have me as a coach, but yeah, I know. I'm so humble. But the thing is, it's always good to have somebody that you believe in that can help you with that. And if you are coachable, that's another thing too, is that a lot of times students will come in and I'll go, so what do you want to be, or who do you, oh, I don't want to do that. It's too complicated. I don't want to write a mission statement. Well, that's immediately uncoachable, It's like if you really want to become good as an artist, it doesn't mean you have to become famous, it doesn't mean you have to make money at it, but we all want to do this and get better at it. And sometimes getting better at it is getting really crystal clear on finding out who we are and why we're doing it in the first place. Okay? So I want you to start seeing some mission statements popping out of the group. Now, I know that one or two of you are going to try to do that. One of two of you have them already. And for the other ones that don't have them, I want you to participate in trying to come up with one. Now, the mission statements always should be in third person. They should be no more than just 1 or 2 lines, not a full paragraph. And just get there very fluid. And I am requesting, and you don't have to, again, it's always request, that we read them out loud and we work with them as a group, because they're very, very powerful. Once you make a declaration to the group of who you are, then all of a sudden you've made a clearing to step into what you're going to be. It's very powerful when you're in a group, and this is why the power of the Crate class is so awesome, is because then all of a sudden now the group sees you as being this, and you're on this thing. And all of a sudden they're going to start looking at your work going, so how is that going to fulfill your mission statement and what you said you were going to be? And you're like going, I thought this was just going to be an easy painting, but it's not. And all of a sudden you start working harder, you strive harder. And you really realize that there is an audience for your work. It might not be immediate, but there is a reason why you're creating art. It's a powerful, wonderful vehicle to express your life in. And what happened to me was when I was in Hawaii as a young kid, I saw a painting by an artist by the name of James Featheroff. And once I saw his work, I was going to be a bowler. I wasn't going to be an artist. And I was a good bowler. He's smirking back there. I had a 230 average at 12. Be quiet. Sit down and be quiet. Okay, at 12. And then I went on this trip to Hawaii, did a plein air class back in 1980, before plein air was plein air. We were painting Hawaii. And I went into a gallery, saw this painting by an artist by the name of James Featheroff. And his work inspired me so much that the reason why you're here is because of him. Okay, so that painting changed my life. So that's not so far-fetched, because that happened to me. And I never had the possibility of thanking James because he passed away. But all of you have that power to share to other people. You can change people's lives. That's a huge mission statement. If your mission statement is that you're going to change people's lives through your artwork, that is a big, big proposition. I'd suggest, like, I just want to show my grandkids who I was.
This happened to me twice.
Yeah, so it happens twice. It will happen. And for some of you, you have no idea what it's like when people look at your work and they weep.
Oh,
But,
yeah, it happened
yeah.
to me once.
Yeah, so it does really, it is a really impactful thing that you guys do. And when you get that, it will change people's lives. Okay? Any questions?